once I had 3 kids, and especially once they become teenagers, you got to drive them around and stuff. It's like nowadays I have to kind of go like, yeah, I do want to make an album, and I do want to like give myself time, and I'll kind of go into the studio and make little demos and stuff. But so the way I do it has kind of changed, but mostly it's because of life itself changing.
Yeah. Your latest album is your 8th album.
Hmm.
Have you changed how you write or record as the years have gone on?
It's a good question. I have changed, not intentionally, but I would say it's just always from the perspective of where I'm at in life. So my first album, when I think about those songs, I like them a lot, but they're almost like exercises in learning how to write songs for me because they're my first batch, and then it's about living with like 6 friends in a house, like how to get along with 6 roommates, And I think about when I hear the songs, it reminds me of that time. The second record, it was like my wife and I sort of, even though we'd already lived together by the time I recorded the first record, all those songs are written, during that time period. And so then it's kind of like young love, just my wife and I. And then it's like our first baby comes along by the third record, then more babies. And it's like life goes on. Then it's like at some point the songs become more about like saying goodbye to people you love when it's how life starts to happen. You start losing more people you love. And so anyways, like it's almost like these diaries where I can look back and think about where I was. And before I had kids, there was all the time in the world to write. So I was never intentionally going, okay, I'm going to give myself time. Once I had 3 kids, and especially once they become teenagers, you got to drive them around and stuff. It's like nowadays I have to kind of go like, yeah, I do want to make an album, and I do want to like give myself time, and I'll kind of go into the studio and make little demos and stuff. But so the way I do it has kind of changed, but mostly it's because of life itself changing.
Yeah. So because my kids are 9, 10, 11.
Mm-hmm.
How old are yours now?
I got 14, 17, 20.
Wow. Okay. What happens with a 20-year-old child? Are they your bud now?
Yeah, my super bud, and I feel like it's the greatest success of a parent if your kids still like you when they don't have, like when they're out, he's still in college, so technically he probably still needs me a little bit, but no, but he's sweet. Like, yeah, I have a really good relationship. We play music together, we surf together. My biggest success as a parent was that they like doing the things that I like to do. I didn't ruin it for them. I didn't push it too hard. But you also got to kind of like encourage them and that kind of thing. So I found the balance to where they actually like music and they like surfing, which are my 2 passions too,
Is one of them going to be musician, singer?
I mean, they're all musicians. I don't know if any of them. It's almost like they'd be around on tour a lot, and they would see the crowds, and they would see. But every show we have a room about this size that has like drum set, and we have everything set up in the back, and our band always just like. We don't always sound check because when we're traveling, we like to see the places we're at. So some days we'll just cancel sound check and be like, let's just meet at the venue and we'll play for the hour before we go on stage. And my kids have always been around and seen that, and I would always tell them like, hey, this is the best part of the night right here. Like this is the fun. It's like playing music with your friends. Yeah. When the people are watching, that's fun too, but that's like a byproduct of loving to do something. So I feel like, anyways, they're musicians in the sense they love jamming in garages with their friends, but I don't know. I haven't been inside their minds, so I don't know if they dream past that or not.
Do you have any advice for someone who hasn't reached teenage years yet with the kids?
Advice is hard. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really have any great ones. I didn't let my kids watch scary movies. I didn't like scary movies that much, and so they would hate me a little bit because I would always be like, no, you can't watch this, you can't watch that. And then I saw like one of the first like campouts. My kid was the only one that made it through the night. Like in the morning, the parent called and they said every single kid came and got picked up because they all watched a scary movie. And my kid wasn't allowed to watch it. And then like sure enough in the morning, he's sleeping alone in the tent. He wakes up and like everybody's gone. So I feel like there was a Bob Dylan line that I always like. It's like, don't let them lay an egg in your mind. And I've always thought about that with like scary films. It's like, I know for myself, like I saw Michael Jackson Thriller one time at a sleepover. I was real little, obviously, because it wasn't that scary, but it scared the hell out of me. So I was like, I remember being in the tent and like looking around at the shadows and stuff, and like snuck out and I went up the house and I called my mom. She had to come pick me up. And so, anyways, Michael Jackson's Thriller, yeah, it ruined the sleepover for me for a while.
Okay, so avoid things that are too scary.
Yeah, I guess that's my advice.
I get you. So I've never been to Hawaii, but I'd love to go one day. When I'm going, what 3 things should I know before I go?
I think one thing I suggest is like people, if they go to restaurants, try to go to restaurants where they're supporting the local farmers, because Hawaii is probably similar to maybe here, where I'm not sure what your numbers are, but a lot of the food is shipped into Hawaii, even though we can grow a lot of the food. So it's, I always encourage, people can go to restaurants where they support the local farmers, because then not only is it good for our economy, but you're also, you're tasting the taste of Hawaii, like things that are actually grown there. So that'd be one tip. Don't get stuck inside, like in the hotel stuff, get outside. It's a beautiful place to spend time outside. Number 3, try surfing. You might as well. You're in the birthplace of surfing, and there's the neat thing about Hawaii is there's the biggest waves in the world, but there's also the smallest waves in the world. You got Waikiki, which is this perfect place to learn how to surf, and it's the birthplace of all of surfing.
So it's still a big part of your life.
Yeah, I try to do it every day if I can. It's kind of like the only way I know how to stay in shape, really. I mean, actually, when we're on tour, we walk a lot, so we walk around the cities, and I get pretty tired by the end of the day. But when I'm home, I don't really know how to go to the gym or anything like that. I just surf. And so if the waves aren't good for a while, I definitely pick up a few pounds.
Any chance you're going to Bali this time?
Not on this tour, but I love going there. I've surfed there quite a bit. I used to make surf films and be a camera operator, and so I've done a lot of filming through Indonesia and surfing through there. But I've never played a show yet. I want to get there for a show.
I noticed you studied film at one point in your life. Any films to recommend over the recent years?
I like Big Lebowski. That's not that new.
Yeah.
That's a really good one. All the Coen.
These are one of your favorites, eh?
Yeah, I like Coen brothers a lot. Like all their films I find really interesting. Wes Anderson, I like a lot of his films. I'm blanking out now that you're asking me a question.
I love the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
That is my favorite Wes Anderson.
I like that one a lot too.
And so I wanted to ask, I mean, you're well known for your environmentalism. What do you make of Singapore? Have you had a chance to look around the city? Or get a feel for it?
We have. I mean, for the very short time I've been here, it's a really interesting combination of nature and technology. From what I can tell, like I said, I just got here, but a lot of times if you see nature taking over a building, it's because it's like taking it back and it's destroying it, and it's like it's more rubble. It's really interesting to see here. It's so incorporated as like a conversation, like a beautiful conversation between nature and technology. Like the buildings, everything seems so well maintained, and like really, even just an area where I was stopped at a stoplight, I just noticed there was vines growing up this staircase. That was like the way nature and humanity is being able to cooperate. It seems really beautiful here. We got a tour from the head of sustainability at the Gardens by the Bay.
Okay.
Am I saying it right? Gardens by the Bay?
Yeah.
And so that was really interesting to get to go do that tour. And we've been to the Eden Project before, which I think was maybe part of the inspiration for it. And we've played quite a few shows at the Eden Project in England. So it was really cool to come here and see the similarities, but also like where they've taken it further, and the way the domes, like the architecture of the domes are so beautiful. Took so many videos today because I was just like, there are so many places where I was standing and I just couldn't believe the perspective of things, like with the skywalks and the layers below. And we learned about the wetland projects of like planting varieties of mangrove to try to see which ones could grow in fresh water, and that was really cool to learn about. I really like, in Hawaii we have a learning farm my wife and I helped to start, and we have a constructed native wetland, so I was really interested to talk to them about everything they're doing and what they've seen success with so far. And
cool.
That kind
of what's one simple thing that most of us don't do that we should do for the environment?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I'm learning all the time, but the one thing I have really learned since starting this farm, it's only been since like 2019, I think, is when we started doing the farm. We've had Kokua Hawaii Foundation. It's a nonprofit that does garden education in schools. So we've helped to establish gardens in a lot of schools and send kids on field trips. We've been doing that for about 20 years. But just recently we started this learning farm. And the first time we were going to do a volunteer work day, I remember thinking, well, it'll be good for the people come in, like it's a nice way to build community and that kind of thing. But after that first work day, the amount of work that we actually got done, and then the first Saturday of every month, we have a community work day. And we depend on those. Like our learning farm couldn't exist without that. And so I think anybody who has the time, it's to volunteer for a nonprofit group or any kind of community work, you know, if it's like a river cleanup or a beach cleanup or donating your time to come and help with any kind of project like that. I know now like how much that really helps us to even exist. Like we wouldn't be able to exist without our community work days.
Good times. Greatest hits. 1FM 91.3.